What's up, guys? This is Jakob. I'm content manager and I'm helping small and medium enterprises with their content strategy. Welcome to a new episode of the Content AI Show, where I speak with and interview people within the AI space. And I'm very excited to speak today with Iman, Isla, Bashir, who's the founder of craftly.ai. And I'm very excited to speak with you because you created this amazing tool that helps content creators around the world to make their life very much easier. And I'm happy to have you and appreciate your time, and welcome to the show, Iman.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
That was a
that's
nice
really cool.
introduction.
Yeah, I try my best with the intros. Before we start and jump into the context, and also you can also of course introduce your tool. Can you introduce yourself in a nutshell? And so who are you and why are you doing the things that you're doing?
Yeah, perfect. So I'm Iman. My background is in SEO, software development, and UX UI design. I am from Toronto, Canada, and I basically have fallen in love with entrepreneurship for as long as I know. I started out doing websites, and I was always like, I love design, super passionate about it, but always wanted to find an outlet or language to build these concepts. And so that's when I learned development, JavaScript. And from there on, I got into SEO to kind of help businesses go to the top of Google. And from there, I just kept experiencing that content marketing was everything. And then that's what propelled me into the world of AI. I never thought I never thought I would get into AI, but I just saw that like marketing, everything revolves around great copy, great content, from ads to blog posts, just you can never get away from it. And I always found myself trying to figure out how can I do content at scale? Like I've been a part of many startups where I'm like constantly pitching. A lot of times my pitches aren't being used. And I'm like, how can I get something to emulate my voice? And that's when OpenAI came out with GPT-3 technology that we then built on top of and leveraged to create our own solution, Craftly.ai. Some cool startups that I've been a part of before was Elevate Toronto, a technology festival. So super enthusiastic about technology. I've always kind of been in the startup world, and this has been my very first baby that I'm kind of doing self-funding. And I work with did not plan this, but it's a female run team, which is super exciting. And we're now 13 people. And we have about 65 tools that are launched and ready to use. We launched it 11 months ago. We've been training for months and months. We just moved our users to paid accounts a week ago. So lots of fun stuff happening on our end.
Really, 1 week ago. Okay, I'm also in the test account. So I'm already testing it also.
Yeah. Oh, we've
Craftly.
had everyone
Yeah,
in test accounts for months and months and months. So it's like we just moved everyone. We've been around for longer than that, but just went to paid again. Yeah.
that's cool. So when we make one step back, so was there a turning point where you said, okay, this is the reason? So was this one aha moment when you said, okay, I have to do this AI thing. I have to figure this out. This is the future. Was there something like this aha moment for you during your
Yeah.
career?
Yeah.
Okay.
So with me, I always found that I was working tirelessly at just with the development of websites, right? I found that a lot of what I was doing was repetitive stuff, and I just begged. I was like, I wish I could just tell someone to do it for me. Like, and I always tried to use website builders or WordPress themes, and could never really find that it was as editable or modular, or I was able to custom solutions are always the best for SEO, for ranking, for fast, for performance. And I always found that there was no in between. And then I realized AI does a bunch of that. It's able to develop with you. There's so many different solutions that AI offers, but I was kind of a disbeliever at first. And even when I was exploring it for content, because I've been doing SEO marketing content for so long, I've studied the impact A/B tests on what is great content. And I'm like, okay, how can you train an AI on these structures and rhythms that just come naturally to humans. Like, it's impossible. I just kept saying this is impossible, right? Like, an example is with a product description for sweatpants. A human would know, okay, include the materials, ingredients, include where it's sourced, if that's relevant, include. If you're just giving that to AI, how can it replicate human? It can't have creativity. And then OpenAI came out with the largest neural network to date, and I was like, I have to try it. The second I tried it, I was like mind blown at the quality and the ability to tap into. It felt like it was my second brain. It didn't feel like it was replacing me. It felt like it was enhancing my creativity. And then I thought, wow, like this, me doing it, I always have problems with SEO. I have so many people coming to me, and I'm like, I wish there could be 20 of me, but like, there isn't. And then I realized, wait, I can use SEO to scale my own thing as a test, as a pilot. And I was able to do that. Like, I used it for my own stuff first. And by doing that, I'm like, wow, I can replicate me through my tool and allow people to create content for themselves in their own, emulate their own unique human voices. So that's kind of when I decided I have to be a part of this.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned already one important thing, I think, that is within. So when people think about AI, they have these disbeliefs, and they to some degree are also scared. So this is a question that I always ask. So what do you think? What are the misunderstandings when it comes to AI? And if you would tackle one, what one would you tackle, and just to eliminate it from the world? So one big disbelief about AI.
So one thing is, we're not there yet, and like AI can't. How is AI supposed to be creative? The number one thing that I always get asked, and the number one thing I respond with is, who is better to write a story or a poem about love? You, who's experienced it maybe 10 to 15 times in your life, if you're lucky, or AI, who has experienced it a billion times through a billion, like through so many different perspectives. So you are a compilation of your past experiences and your background and what you've been through. So how is AI any different when it's reading and emulating?
Yeah, fair question. I would
Yeah.
say.
And my biggest thing is, you have to try it. Like, it's something that I can't really talk about till you see it.
Hmm. Yeah. So you already mentioned GPT-3. So when it comes to all these technical things, can you, for somebody who has no clue
Oh,
about
yeah.
AI,
Yeah.
can you explain what is GPT-3? So it sounds like a car model, or something like this.
Yeah.
What is GPT-3? Yeah.
So it basically is magic, and it no. So GPT-3 was created by some of the founders are Elon Musk, Reid Hoffman, Sam Altman, and they created this generative pre-trained models that is able to emulate and create human-like content by searching through subsets of data. So to give you kind of a background, any kind of AI to date was around 2 to 5 billion parameters. Not sure if I have the exact number correct, but around there. And GPT-3 is able to do 175 billion parameters and pull from that big of a subset of information. So it basically takes the whole internet. Let's say you want to search sweatpants, a product description. It takes the full internet and it goes and looks at all the product descriptions, and then from there it pumps out these product descriptions it doesn't copy, it reorganizes and restructures just as a human would to create this based on what's out there. And that's why when people ask, like, is there a limit to how much copy that it
Mhm.
can create, it can generate from the whole internet, and it's able to make human like statements. That is where, and then what you're seeing with copywriter these days, or they're building on top of it to actually train it to give different results. So without training, it's very different than what you're seeing. So training is basically the act of giving it 500, for example, subsets of information, like a press release, right? A great press release, you could start off with a question and end off with something catchy, or a great press release includes certain amount of structures or certain syntax. And so we are feeding it that subset of information over large quantities of data. And that's what training it is like, because we know that some people are going to like stuff that is a little more creative, that uses questions. Some people are going to like content that is more formal and for academics, right? And so we create these very varying subsets of data to train the AI model so that it's able to give you a broad enough variety of outputs. And from there, we have it learn a user. And let's say a user is using more academic responses by copying and liking those. We're then able to say, okay, AI, use for this user, if they're choosing this, show them more subsets from that pool. And so training it could take months, it could take days, right? But it involves you, like a company using this generative transformer model, the largest neural network to date. And if I were to describe it to a child, is it searches all the information and gives you information on a topic. And so just the collaboration of the two is able to get our data.
Yeah. So what I mean, I'm using it and I'm convinced and I'm using it also in my daily work, but still I just sometimes think, well, if everybody is using this tool or any kind of tools, are we not just copy pasting us each other? So do you get what are you thinking? So this
I
this
am
concern in my head, yeah.
So it's so funny. I'm like scared to do tests on it because I'm like, wait, like there's only so many things I could come up with. And like, there's only so many product descriptions about sweatpants. And
Yeah.
I get kind of nervous about that too. But what I realized is, as a human being, how many humans, probably millions, have written a description for a sweatpants, right? But we still find it's still always unique, right? There's endless possibilities of word variations, letter variations. And I would say use a plagiarism checker. You don't believe it? Keep using a plagiarism checker. And there's going to be some levels of overlapping. And that's why AI is not meant to replace, it's meant to enhance, where you would jump in and use it with. Like, that's why I always say, like, use it in tandem, enhance, not replace. Like, and it's a great area to start. So as long as you're coming into it with the mindset that it's not going to replace, it's going to enhance, you'll do well.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So one thing that I liked about your tool is that you can also tag your target audience. So, for example, you want to address entrepreneurs or business coaches, so that you can be very specific, and this gives you the opportunity to create really targeted copy. That's
Yeah.
something that I liked about the tool. Do you plan also, because I mean, I produce also in English, but I have some German clients
Yeah.
and they are also interested in, but this is beta, or is this, when are you
Yeah.
going to launch this, or
So
what are the plans? Yeah.
we
Yeah.
just launched, and so languages we're hoping to get launched by the end of September. So we're working on
Mhm.
this, but our thing is we want quality to be there. We don't just like, we could release it now, but we want quality. And so what's involved in that is training it dependent on these languages, not just saying, oh, feed me German. We want to actually give
Mhm.
it German examples. And when you're talking about like 500 examples to create an amazing product description tool, then it tasks. So that's for the end of the month of September. We're aiming for that. And then when it comes to other rollouts, we want to have, our goal is 60 tools by the end of this month, which we're on target to doing. So we have an insane amount of tools that are being released every day. They've been being worked on for the last couple months. Then we really want to integrate our text editor. So to have one
Mhm.
area where you could just go and, let's say you could hit the slash bar and be like, oh, blog topics. And then all your blog topic ideas are on the right, and you could drag and drop, and it's all one document, where then it's working in tandem with your mind versus having to go to different tools and pick and choose. We also want to incorporate a bunch of readability testers, tools to really check your quality of your work. That way you're not going to Yoast and doing an external company to do a meta description checker. We're actually integrating that in for you. That we should be hopefully focusing on October, November. But the most immediate things we're doing is the mass amount of tools and the languages. And some of our exciting tools that are just being released are pain agitation solution, product features. We're getting really down and dirty with the copywriting. And the reason why it's taken a little longer is we want the experts in copywriter to be doing these examples and training. It's not just us using marketers. We're really tapping into that expertise in the different areas and industries.
Yeah, so I think this is really interesting. So because you already mentioned this several times, when you train the AI, can you describe what exactly do you mean with this? Because I mean, how can you train something that I can't touch or something? Yeah, so how does this work?
So basically, when you're asking it a question, right? So when you're asking it, you have to feed it prompts. AI doesn't know what to do. So you say like, hey, I want a story about this. Did you know that if you add a character name and give the AI a character, they produce different outputs? Or if you change the wording by using, hey, AI, I want this, compared to give me a product description, your answers are day and night different. So it's something I like to call prompt engineering. So that is training by like knowing what to ask and how to ask. And then there's also, when I train it, when we're doing it, we're saying, not only are we saying, hey, give me a product description, we're saying, hey, give me a product description like these. And then the like these are going to be examples, but they're following very careful syntax and structures. And so we're training it by almost training ourselves on what to ask and what to feed it. So that's involved in training. Yeah.
And when you say we work with the best copywriters to create the product descriptions, does this mean you are hiring copywriters who are writing real product? Okay.
So we're looking through subsets of data and information to be like, okay, what are things that are high ranking and what works? Not just what sounds good, what is converting. And so we take that data and then we ask copywriters to use it, and we're getting copywriters, SEOers, marketers. We're trying to tap into all these different subsets of people and to find the medium of like, okay, this is the best of all, right? And by taking that, we're actually getting them to write examples, and we're giving the AI examples so that the AI works kind of like a continuation. So it gives you what you put into it. So an example is, you've been using our tool for a bit, and it will actually, you'll notice after this conversation, I want you to go try it, but like when you're giving it more information, it actually produces way better results. And I thought, it doesn't have much to do with the inputs, but I had an academic researcher go and use it compared to just like an average person, and they were getting insane like level of quality. So it really is a continuation. So like the more you put into it, the better results you get.
So the tool itself is learning from what I'm typing in and what I'm looking for and searching for. Okay. This excites me and scares me at the same time, just to some degree, but everything cool so far. Okay.
Yeah.
It's cool. So very fascinating topic. I mean, yeah. So at one of our chats on LinkedIn, I asked you a question about these automation things that you use. So this is a question basically within your daily business. So I mean, you're the founder of this tool, but how much AI do you use in your daily life, daily business life? So and what kind of things are you using?
For everything. So people don't even realize it, but like people who think that they're not using AI, they're using AI. Like an example is Spotify. If you use Spotify, you're using AI. Okay, so
or MailChimp.
But
MailChimp. Many people think MailChimp.
Yeah.
What? AI? Yes.
Yeah. So an example is I use Superhuman for emails. I love them. They use AI to automatically triage your email. and figure out what's most important. They are my favorite, and everything's so intuitive. Check them out. Zendesk, what they do is they use AI to analyze data and route emails. So all of our emails is coming in through Zendesk, and it knows that if it's talking about doing a demo, it's going to go towards Megan, who's our head copywriter, who gives amazing demos. But if it's asking about a partnership, it knows to give it to Nicole, who's our head of operations. And if it's asking about funding, it knows to send it to me. And then we also have Time Doctor, which automates time tracking. So I'm able to hire developers and stuff overseas and not have to worry about hours and stuff like that. And it gives them suggestions for prioritizations and workflows. I love Time Doctor. Another one is Mint for my, the Mint for my accounting. And it basically takes my full financial documents and figures out, categorizes it for me, and learns the way that I shop or the way I spend, and it then works on that. And then
Okay.
the last big one is the chatbot. I use a chatbot for all my businesses and stuff. I think it's so amazing for lead generation.
Chatbot. So you can create funnels, or what are you doing with it? Because I
Yeah,
don't know this.
so I have, for one of my clients, a plastic surgery client, we saw that a lot of people were asking for pricing. A lot of people were calling in and wasting the front desk time with certain things like that. We found that if we use AI, Dialogflow, and other people use IBM analyzers, and you could actually get more from just an interaction. Like if you just have your front desk answer it, you don't have data on like the tone, how happy the person was. You don't have data on what this person was asking. It's not an AI kind of goes past that. We're using a chatbot. Instabot is my favorite. And they're basically helping us triage and answer questions that would then take human time.
Hmm. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Many new tools. I have to check them out. That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for them.
No
Cool.
problem.
So when it comes to your memories on AI, so what was one of the first memories that you had when you hear AI? So one of the first that you have ever.
So I'm not sure if any of you guys like, I'm not sure if this is actually AI, but like if any of you guys remember Smarter Child on MSN or Instant Messenger, where like I was a kid, like an angry 8-year-old or angry 12-year-old that was just like typing into this bot developed by this active buddy. It was in MSN. And I was able to type and be like, what's the weather? And it would give me the weather. And I was like, whoa. And as a kid, I would be like, my friends suck or something like that. And it would just be like, it's okay. Like it would just like be a chatbot. And I remember seeing that and being wowed and always curious about this level of almost scared. But I remember that was my very first interaction. And then when it comes to interaction in the real world, when I was older, I found chatbots was my first interaction. I thought that it was so cool that you don't even need a human. You could just triage and have the chatbot talk to people about common things.
Cool. So yeah, I know MSN still, but yeah, the other things I
Yeah,
can't really remember. But that's cool. Thanks for
yeah.
sharing this. Yes, cool. So when it comes to your vision, or other question? What are the next steps for you and your business for the next 2 or 3 years? So you already told
Yeah.
us about the languages, also about the tools, but in the long term, what do you want? So where's the what is your mission? What is your vision?
My mission is to be the future of writing, like to be a company
Very
where
bold.
we are no, but not the complete like I'm at my mission along with all the other AI copywriters out there is to be someone that like a company that is integrated and used every single day, like an extension where people are like, it doesn't do my work for me, like it helps me, it is my brain, it's my brainstorming assistant. And so my goal is to be a more SEO focused company. It's to be the HRFs or SEM rush content where I'm able to provide not only 55 different tools, like if you want a tool for press release, if you want a tool for emails, but not only to provide these tools, but also to be providing checkers, to be providing research, curriculums, training, to basically be more than just a text generation tool, but your go-to for all knowledge revolved around those marketing things,
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
your one resource.
Yeah. I mean, you can also create songwriting, a song. Yeah. So if
Oh
you're
yeah,
a
we're
singer,
working with
you,
we're working with
yeah.
Steve Aoki on an AI generated song. He loves it.
Okay, this means you're picking the brains of and all these experts and feeding the AI with the correct or with the right copy in order to
Yeah,
create
it's
awesome AI
beautiful
content.
seeing him use it. Like
Yeah.
it's showing where like AI and tech not only meets marketing but also meets art.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. I have another question. Um, yeah, tell me about your team. So this means you will be broader and more internationally, or what are the plans when it comes to
So
hiring and creating a bigger team?
the plans are I'm temporarily in Miami. I'm going back to Toronto very soon. And our most of our staff is there, operating out of our office there.
Yeah.
And so with everything opening up, I definitely want to be in person and expand our team like that. We will be going to a hybrid model where our staff will have the opportunity to work halfway. But I love connecting. One of my biggest things is like I want to tap into networks of like I don't want to just hire copywriting writers to do the training. So I want to hire experts. I want to work with artists and geniuses in their own realm. So like we will continue to work abroad on contracts for that. But right now our team is 10 full-time and then about 15 in total, not full-time. So 5 part-time. And our 10 full-time, most of them is in Canada, but we're tapping into people from all over.
Yeah. Sounds cool. Cool, cool.
Yeah.
And within the AI space, I mean, GPT-3 is one thing. There are evolutions, how this evolves. What kind of trends do you see within the AI space?
So I definitely see a lot of people going more towards data. So everything is going from now on, it's crazy. It's like customer experience analytics takes center stage. Before it was like manufacturing, it was the product. It was, do you have the best product? Nope, nope. It's all about customer experience. Customer is number one in the future. And so that is where I see AI going. I see it being everything being able to quantify data much more and really be able to give that customer experience using AI and data to automate tasks that would have been a bias is a really cool use case. Like ClearCode, that's who I would recommend next for your show, by the way, someone who's in the AI space. But Michelle Romano is a good friend of mine. She founded a billion-dollar company. It's crazy. No, more than
Sounds good.
billion. They're unicorn status.
Even
Um,
better.
ClearCo, amazing team. Her co-founders are amazing. And so what it did that was so beautiful is they said, okay, she was a venture capitalist. She is on Dragon's Den, which is the Shark Tank of Canada. And she found that when she was doing all her own startups, she bootstrapped so many times, she took money, and she found that there needs to be a way to give founders access to capital without having to give up equity. And
Yeah.
she saw that there's like so much bias in the VC space towards women, towards there's so many stereotypes. There's towards minorities, and she's like, how can we remove bias from investing? Right? It should just be about the data. Why is it about which gender you are, where you're from, or you're? And she's like, if the data makes sense, so they created ClearCo, which is a beautiful company that gives founders opportunities, and they are actually I think that I don't want to just say stats out there, but they are really like killing it in giving female founders opportunities, giving minorities opportunities and funding. I think it's X amount of billion dollars worth of companies today, and they're called ClearCode. And so they use AI to automate the valuation, and that decision is purely AI driven.
Cool. It is a way how to find unbiased companies that are worth investing, right? So do I
Yes.
understand it right? Okay, cool.
Yes.
ClearCode or ClearCode?
ClearCode. So what they basically do is they do investments in smaller businesses looking to scale that don't want to give up equity. So they give loans, so they give funding to, and the criteria is based on AI, not based on anything that could leave human bias. In fact, I know this is really weird to say, but my personal view is that like humans have such big like emotional backgrounds and CEOs and a lot of I think that if we used more AI in decision making, we would have a much better like to actually bring quantifiable metrics with AI in decision making, there would be a lot better decisions.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned in the intro. I would love to get an introduction if this is possible. I mean, I'm always
Yes.
looking for new
Yeah, of
interview
course.
guests, so this would
Yeah.
be great. Would appreciate it. Cool.
Yeah.
And so, okay, when it comes to the trends, it's more data based and more customer based,
Yeah.
which is a good thing. This means basically, so this is my interpretation. You can start from scratch. You don't need some big corporation or something. You can start building your own database, and collect information about your customer. And right? Or do I?
No, that's completely right.
Yeah.
And one of the most beautiful things that attracted me to AI and is that it's giving smaller businesses the ability to compete with bigger. Like look at
Yes.
if someone uses Craftly.ai, right? They have a copywriter and they're able to pump out articles that would have costed them thousands of dollars to pump out, where they're able to hire a copywriter from day one. They don't have to, they could do their web copy, they can do their email campaigns, and they're able to really scale their time and do what they do with it. But before traditionally, you had to be a running company to hire a copywriter, right? And so
Yes.
it's really giving that's one realm of possibility. Another is like a beautiful thing that AI is doing is it's giving third world countries an opportunity. Like I was working with a company that was asking me about building curriculums for third world countries. School curriculums that they would have never been able to do because they can't afford it, or building using deep fakes to offer movies and have movies at a smaller budget. It's really giving people opportunity more than anything.
Yeah, definitely. That's cool. Yes.
Yeah.
And if you would have all resources in the world, so time and money, what kind of AI product would you create, or what would you improve on your on your own product?
A boyfriend? No, I'm kidding. Um, imagine, but no. I would say that deep fakes is something that I would want to look towards. Like, there's so much research and development right now, so I've focused more so on copywriting because that's something that I have more of like a background in. But deep fakes, it's so cool. For anyone that does not know what that is, go YouTube Obama deep fake, and you'll be able to see that you won't even tell that it's AI talking, but they're able to take a character, analyze the dimensions of their face, and have that person speak exactly like that person. And I think that as scary as that is as ethical, and there could be a lot of issues there, but one cool thing it could offer is like being in as many places as once, right? Where someone, let's say they have to do company demos, where they have to do 20 demos per day, they could then study a person doing 1,000 demos and answering 10,000 questions. And now if you put the AI in front of the screen, they can answer almost anything and they're an actual person. Or like, let's say when you are interviewing, you want to interview 100 people because you want to see, but you just want to sit there and zoom through it. You don't want to actually be sitting there and asking them the questions. And then sometimes you're like, oh, I'm like, but it's cool. You could just get deep fakes in AI to do it. I think that that's such a realm that's not
Yeah,
tapped into.
yeah. So this brings me to the ethical question. So, um,
Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, do you have some? I mean, I'm from Germany. I have to ask this. Do you see
Yeah.
any concerns about this? I mean, this can be.
Yeah.
This is the whole topic of identity misuse of identity. I mean, if there's a deep fake of me, somebody else can use it,
Yeah.
or What do you think about this? Yeah.
So I would say that the people governing these technologies and really helping with like providing companies like us with the data, they are really a company like OpenAI, which we're working with, in they require so much rigorous testing, training. For example, I have to be careful of doing live demonstrations. I have to be careful. I'm not able to integrate solutions where there's no human in the loop, is what we call it, where I can't have a solution that will automatically post for you because we always want there to be a human reading it, right? And there is so many different ethical concerns, but as long as we as a community really I think the most scariest thing to be aware of is people that say, hey, we need to stay away from AI because it could take over, or it's scary, or we should block it out from schools because it's hindering creativity. I would say those people are the biggest people to fear. And like what the best thing is, if we work in tandem with AI, because it's not going anywhere. If we figure out, if we get ahead of it and build different ways to be ethical and as a community hold each other accountable, that's where we could really counteract. And obviously there's things that to be wary of, like bias or racism, right? If it's reading the full internet, what are you picking up those generative text on? And so that's up to us to really be a part of this collaborative approach to training, and training it with great values, and training it with filters and content filters and enough kind of rules and regulations.
Yeah.
So that's on us.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. So another thing that is related to this ethical thing is when it comes to content creation. So you can, I mean, you can create with your tool a whole blog article and then put your name under it. So would it be? Do you think, because there's this discussion about, yeah, you have to market as content, so AI created. So what do you think about this? Can a business owner put his name under AI created article or blog article?
Yeah, sure. Like in fact, I like contribute on a number of different websites, and I use AI to help me generate it, but like it's me piecing together stuff, and it's under my name because it's an extension of my ideas. But what you're talking about is if they completely, there's no way to tell. And people have asked me that. They're like, how do you know, how will a teacher know if a student goes and
They will not.
plagiarizes?
Yeah.
They won't.
Yeah.
There's no way of moderating it. There's no way of telling. What I can say though is the AI, it works best in tandem. I have not seen, I've worked with long form content and I still need to jump in and create with it or change some stuff, because it's like, let's say you say, write an article about sweatpants for my product. It doesn't know your product, right? So you have to kind of train it or
Yeah.
use it, or sometimes it's too
Yes.
creative, it makes up stuff. So you'll always need to kind of collaborate with it.
Yeah.
And remember,
Yeah.
if your name's behind it, you don't want it to put something bad. So hopefully you are reading it.
Yes.
Who
Yes.
knows?
Definitely.
Maybe I'm really AI and I'm not really here, and AI is
You-
answering all these questions.
Yes. You never know. I mean, this is the thing in the digital times. Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yes. So I asked already the question, who can you recommend for my show? So if there's
Yeah.
anybody who except of ClearCode,
Yeah.
who fits in this area of content and AI, it doesn't have to be both. I mean, you are an ideal guest because you're also founder of a tool who
Yeah.
creates content and is AI based. This is the perfect fit. But it can be also
Yeah.
only AI focused or only content focused. This would be also great.
Content focus, Tempesta Media. They're a media company. They got 27,000 people using their content platform, and they're killing it in that game. I in fact use them for a more managed solution sometimes. Tempesta Media, and the founder Michael is just an absolute genius when it comes to not only content writing. He is just such a forward thinker. In fact, we found him, we were talking, and he's like, why don't we partner on a solution that's like bringing together AI and content. Why don't we be at the forefront of this and really market like, no, we're not. They're a content writing platform that wants to partner up with an AI. I'm like, are you scared of us taking you over? They're like, no, like we're best in tandem. And so we're actually collaborating. And that's founder, like you should definitely speak to him. He is gifted not only in the realm of content, but in search engine optimization, has a very thorough background, knows what content works and what doesn't.
Cool.
Another
What was?
cool, huh?
Yes, Michael. What was his full name?
Michael Marchese, and I'll connect you with him. But Tempesta Media, another company doing really cool things, is Wrangle.io. Nick is the founder, and he also is just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to the whole realm of AI and development. And Wrangle.io is a development company in Toronto. His full name is Nick Van Rudenberg. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. He's gonna kill me. But he is actually someone that's a genius, force to reckon with, that you should definitely connect with.
Cool connections. Thank you. I appreciate it. Really, that's awesome. So is there some last thing that you want to share? So where can people find more information about your tool? So where should they go if they are interested in using it?
Craftly.ai.
Craftly.ai.
And they can find us like that. Yeah. Super easy.
That's cool.
Craftly.ai. And I'll give you a link for you to post it.
Yes, I will put it into the comments under this live show. That's cool. So thank you, Iman. That was really amazing. Is there something that you want to share? Some last statement, last idea that you want to share with the community?
I would definitely say for the community, you can't say anything till you try it. So it doesn't have to be my platform. There's a bunch of great ones out there. It's very new technology, but there's Copy, there's Jarvis, there's me, there's a bunch. And so I would say that before you knock it or have all these bold opinions, you have to try it. It's definitely a mind-blowing experience.
Yes, that's true. I mean, that's the reason why I'm in this space, because I think it's the future. And if you want really the competitive advantage compared with other companies, then you have to implement it in your daily business. That's the important thing.
You can't fight it, so work with it.
Yeah, definitely. So if you can use it or just be scared of it. So I'm basically I started as a digital editor, and so I was more in a space that people were scared when they heard about AI, and I was the only one who was excited about it, and that's the reason why I'm in this niche. Yeah.
No, I love it. And those are the people that will go forward. It's like, you can't be scared. If you want to be left behind, then that's how you're going to do it.
Definitely.
Perfect. But thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Sounds good.
Thank you. And see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.